got Don. It's the time capsule, as we've redubbed it.
That
and
is true.
Let's find out what was going on all those years ago, shall we?
And we have that news ticker in the back. We want to make it nice and professional here. Pro Wrestling Spotlight, just like 10-10 wins. Can I say that? 10-10 wins. I guess it's gone, Donnie. You just have to bear with us tonight, and I guess the ticker in your brain will suffice.
Lots happening, as you said, John, and thank you, and good evening, everyone. Leading off the capsule this week, the WWF takes the spotlight. Legion of Doom's Animal and Hawk were defeated by the team of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and IRS this past Friday evening in Denver, Colorado for their World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Championship. Hawk was pinned after being hit with a chair by Typhoon of the Natural Disasters, who were at ringside. Now, television cameras were taping this history-making event, and LOD are scheduled to challenge Jimmy Hart's Disasters on the WrestleMania card. Also taking place this week, more details have surfaced concerning the suspension of rocker Marty Jannety from the World Wrestling Federation. On January 26th in Tampa, Florida, at approximately 2 a.m., reports indicate that Jannety and a female companion from Florida allegedly attempted to purchase legal beverages at a liquor store. Now, Jannety's companion, being underage and in possession of a fake ID, was arrested. Subsequently, a search of the car they had been traveling in revealed 1 gram of cocaine, of which Jannety was allegedly in possession of. And the Wrestling Observer is reporting that the WWF SummerSlam show will be held on August 31st in the Cap Center in Landover, Maryland. Also in the Sunshine State this week, lawmakers voted down by a vote of 8-1, which took only 30 minutes to conclude. There would be no mandatory regulated drug testing, including for steroids, in the state of Florida. Now, the committee decision handed down in Tallahassee this past week had very little lobbying done to see the proposed bill killed. Now, turning to World Championship Wrestling news, Missy Hyatt's contract has been renewed for an additional 2 years, and it's looking more and more as if Terry Gordy and Dr. Death Steve Williams will be at the upcoming Super Brawl 2 pay-per-view in Milwaukee. For Pro Wrestling Spotlight Productions, I'm Donny Laible reporting. Capsule time, 10:09.
There's that sign-off, same as every week. I love that capsule time. I've always enjoyed that. Yeah. It just brings it home.
It is, and a lot of news. A lot of news in that.
Okay, I wrote this in my notes, so this is always. I'm gonna be a critic. All right. Money Incorporated beat the Legion of Doom. Fine. Okay. I want to talk about Mike Rotundo, because Mike Rotundo is one of the wrestlers I've admired the most, and I met him several times, and he's just a great guy, and he's got a progeny now and everything. But Erwin R. Shyster, to take a skilled athlete like that. Now, don't get me wrong. He used to get in the ring as a renegade. Alex, if you could imagine this. He was a heel, but his character was a renegade tax accountant. If you can believe this. And he used to get in the ring and go and get heat by pointing at the audience and going, "You have to pay your taxes." Boo! That was the shtick.
Yeah, it was. A lot of talent wasted with that
gimmick. If it sounds stupid, you can see where Bray Wyatt came from. Because it's like another talented wrestler had to do real stupid stuff, and it's his son. So I don't know how to. What a waste of, because they always promoted Mike Rotundo as the athlete that he was, great collegiate star, knew more holds than anybody else. That wasn't enough anymore. You had to be, and he wrestled in a shirt and tie. I can't.
With suspenders. And
I can't. Yeah. I'll leave it at that. I can't.
It was a crazy gimmick. It was a really idiotic gimmick, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, but I laughed. Every time he didn't matter, you have to pay your tax. I'd laugh because the audience would go apeshit. Boo. But I'm like.
That was the era we were in, though.
Yeah,
all those characters. That was kind of, the amount of different characters. Go ahead, Don.
His father-in-law was Blackjack Mulligan.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, that's I can't. I mean, even DiBiase's character used to, again, another fantastic wrestler. Nobody was better than Ted DiBiase. He was awesome in every federation he ever wrestled for. And all of a sudden he shows up one day as a millionaire. Lifestyles.
Well, you go from Mr. Perfect, you go to Texas Tornado,
Red Rooster.
all of it. I mean, all of it. It was almost like what? How could we mess with this great athlete and give him a gimmick that is so idiotic? But and they take it because it's the money they were getting paid really well.
You can't argue with that because they were successful at what they did. You can't. If they had done that and it bombed, that's one thing. It didn't bomb. The audience had changed. To be honest with you, there were more kids.
When you mentioned Red Rooster, that was unbelievable. But I think probably the worst one was when they had Hector Guerrero come out of the egg. What was he? The gobbledygooker?
Yeah, the friggin' egg.
Which
we went over on the Pro Wrestling Spotlight in the second year. I mean,
that's my best line ever on Pro Wrestling Spotlight. Some kid called John's show and goes, "What's in the egg? Who do you think is the egg?" And I went, "It ain't Harley Race versus Jack Briscoe."
No. We got so many callers. Callers were like, "What's in the egg? What's in the egg? What's in the egg?"
The whole show, and it's like it wasn't be anything good. You knew it wasn't be anything good. How could it be good? It's an egg. It's an egg in a nest on a wrestling program.
Where I think they got that idea? If you remember on TBS Georgia Championship Wrestling, they ran an angle, and I'm sure more than once, where Tommy Rich was having a feud with Buzz Sawyer, and Tommy was messing with Buzz. He had a big box in the studio, and Buzz Sawyer would destroy his opponents and go, "What's in the box? I need to know what's in the box." That was a whole angle. So when I saw the egg come out, I go, "They're just taking that off what they saw on Georgia Championship Wrestling."
Yeah, but
crazy stuff.
I can't even talk. The stuff I grew up with that I loved and I had to see, and I skipped church. Can you imagine how hard it was as a kid? Argue with your parents. I can't go to church. I have to watch Joe McHugh. It's like the friction it caused. Something in my heart told me I had to watch this wrestling show, and I knew I had a feeling that I'd be involved with it up the road. I don't know how. I just knew. And I'm glad that we all got along after that. And I did skip church and I got to see all those great shows. But to see what it had become, to see the suspension of disbelief trampled upon and wiped out, it hurt. It hurts. It hurts somebody like me because it's like, I remember the golden days. I remember Bruno Sammartino walking to the ring to the biggest heat I've ever seen for anything in my life, just because he was there. That's how much people cared. And
that's why, each and every week when we did the show, I mean, we saw what was happening. We couldn't do anything to change it.
No.
But it was kind of, it was almost like what happened to the business or the sport that I went to for all these years at Madison Square Garden and all these great, great shows and performers and athletes. And now look what it's become.
Yeah. But, here's the funny thing, too. Even during the period we're talking about, once the bell rang, it was still Ted DiBiase and Mike Rotundo.
Yeah.
They were still working hard, and they were still as good as they ever were physically and athletically.
And it was, if you're looking at the roster of the WWF at that time, especially when you take a look at, 92 SummerSlam, which was, I think, had 17 Hall of Famers in it.
Yeah.
Amazing, great athletes. And I think Flair, once he came in and won the title that night, which he didn't even realize, he didn't even learn until that day when he got to the building. That's a plug for his podcast, and he does really well. And he just went over that 92 Royal Rumble. It was interesting because you had that mix, but you had the marketing to the kids, and it was interesting. And you were all praying that WCW would kind of just stay the course and kind of keep it as wrestling rather than the circus sideshow that the WWF was becoming.
Yeah, and then WCW gave us Glacier and all those other.
Was that Jim Herd area, or was that after Jim Herd?
I don't remember.
I thought it was before Jim Herd. I thought Glacier was a little bit before. Honestly, but it's a blur now.
It is. I mean, we're going to get called upon by some people who listen to this. I know it was wrong, or this is wrong, and it's the Andre the Giant. I'm not going to get into that. But I mean, hey, listen, I'm 65 years old now. I don't actually remember every little detail from 30 to 50 years ago, actually. And you do your best
Right.
to have a recall of what happened back then. And that's why it's great that we have the tapes to listen to.